I just wanted to show you this door that I cut because it has this nice knot hole here and this very pretty design. And obviously this is the door that matches with this frame, but look, just from the time it took for these glue places to dry, it kind of, quote unquote, doesn't fit. So obviously these two go together, but wood is wood, and just like your front door sometimes sticks, or perhaps you have something else, a shed or something with a wood door, wood is not solid. I mean, per se. It was a living tree at one time, and it's porous, and it has places where there's air and there's gaps, and it will absorb moisture or put off moisture, and this causes it to shrink or swell and warp and do all kinds of things. So that's why I varnish my pieces heavily, but eventually the wood will kind of deteriorate. You know, you can certainly have a fairy door. I have many that are 20 years old, but you have to do the maintenance on them and the care. And while you're making them, if you find that this happens, give it a good sanding. Now this is getting easier and easier. It obviously swelled somehow in here. So I'm just taking down a bit more on the frame. I don't like to, generally speaking, if I've got a nice straight line on the door, I don't want to take too much off of the door itself. But it looks like, oh, almost. See, look how much it changed. And that's just from it not being hinged. And I was getting ready to put the stain on this. So I put the stain on before I put the hardware. And because I didn't get to it right away, it had some differentiation in the moisture, obviously, in this door frame. So I'm going to go ahead and take this down more. But I just wanted to show you that, you know, wood is wood. So treat it as such. Okay, we're going to try this out here. It is cold still, but the sun came out, so hopefully the shadows aren't too bad. I really like to be outside to do any staining like this because it's not a nice smell. And you should definitely wear gloves and wear clothing that is all right if you get stain on it. And also the packaging, as you see, I have mine like double bagged. I do not use all of my stain at one time, and putting it in another bag and then closing it up will help to make your stain last a bit longer. The wind is terrible today. Oh my goodness. Hopefully the camera's not shaking too good. Not in Southern California, but Central California, and just all of California is, oh my goodness. I'm sure you've seen on the news. It's kind of a all day, all night occurrence if you're in California to hear about the fires. It's just absolutely horrible. And I am down in the LA area, you have to wear a mask and stuff. So anyway, this is that door that I was wanting to stain, and then I had to re-sand. And now it is ready for that stain, and you'll see how nice this really brings out the pattern in the wood. And for these doors, I have them in a light stain that I put gold hardware on. And then this is the darker stain, and I put antiqued hardware on it. And I may be actually, I've been doing a lot more of just strictly handmade stuff. And I purchase, obviously, the little hardware that goes on these, but I have thought for a long time about making some leather hardware, which if you look at history, you know, if you're not near a blacksmith or you don't have a forge back, you know, just, well, honestly, just a couple hundred years ago, you would use leather because you could use those as a hinge, and they don't last forever, but they make a pretty decent hinge. And I'm unsure how it would do outside. So many people Even though I recommend the maintenance procedures on my doors, I don't know how many people actually do it. So I don't know how well leather would hold up. Oh my goodness, the wind. Sorry if the camera's shaking. But see how nice this comes up? And once I give it a sanding, you'll see how nice. Isn't that beautiful? So pretty. So once I get this all on, and be sure when you stain your wood, a few hours from now, this will look dry, but it's really not. Do not move to the next step of gluing or the next step into your varnishing until this has sat at least for 24 hours, because although it looks dry, it's not. And it will smell just terrible. Most of the things that I use do have a smell, and they eventually do dissipate, but honestly, like about the first month of my creations, there is an odor to them. And that's because I use substances to treat the wood so that they can look beautiful and remain outside. I used to do a lot of things that were indoor fairy garden items, and those are fun, and you can certainly put a lot more on them with moss and things like that, but they don't last outside. And the problem is people would take my indoor items, even though I would specifically say for indoor use only, and they'd put them outside. So keep that in mind. If you want to make things with moss and use hot glue and things like that, you will have to keep those items indoors. There is no way that that will make it through all that Mother Nature has to throw at it. And I guess at the moment, our human houses are not exactly standing up to all Mother Nature is throwing at them. Okay, isn't that beautiful? Now a light sanding, this will kind of lighten up a bit as it soaks into the wood. You can see that one side definitely has more of a way of soaking in a bit more. That would be this side, and this side is repelling the stain a little bit, but that's okay. You know, use whatever side you think is prettiest. If you wanted this even darker, you could do another coat and then wait another 24 hours. So that is what it looks like with the stain, and then tomorrow this will be ready for hardware.